News anchor Benjamin Adams. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Channel V News. Our top story tonight covers the latest polling data from across the country, highlighting a significant trend in the upcoming election. John Dramani Mahama, the former president and candidate in the current race, has shown a strong lead in 12 of the nation's 16 regions. Reports reveal that Mahama's campaign has garnered impressive support in various regions, with a majority of voters leaning in his favor. These results reflect rising public interest in his platform and a solid response to his promise for a revitalized economic framework, improved healthcare access, and educational reforms. Let's break down the details further. Each region represents unique strengths and challenges for the candidates, and with the latest data, Mahama has managed to secure strong approval in areas critical to winning the overall vote. Here's a closer look at where this lead is currently playing out. In the northern and Savannah regions, Mahama has maintained substantial popularity, thanks in part to his campaign's focus on regional development and job creation initiatives. Voters in these areas have reportedly responded positively to his commitment to infrastructure improvements and policies aimed at reducing unemployment. Turning to the central and western regions, Mahama continues to enjoy broad support. His message of economic growth, particularly through agricultural support and local business expansion, seems to resonate strongly with citizens here. These regions, rich in resources and potential for growth, are key to his vision for a self-sustaining economy. In the Volta and Oti regions, we see similarly strong polling numbers, attributed to Mahama's previous track record in office and his ongoing emphasis on education and youth development. He has repeatedly highlighted the need for improved educational resources, including more funding for schools and vocational training programs. The latest poll results also indicate that the eastern and greater Accra regions are leaning heavily toward Mahama. His messages around urban development, better public transportation, and affordable housing have gained traction in these areas, where rapid urbanization has brought both opportunities and significant challenges. Many voters feel that Mahama's vision could address these issues effectively, particularly through his infrastructure and housing plans. Moving down to the Upper East and Upper West regions, Mahama's outreach efforts appear to have resonated with local communities. Here, his pledges for regional equality and increased funding for rural areas have bolstered his standing among residents. The focus on accessible healthcare and educational resources is especially relevant in these regions, where these services are often limited. The Ashanti region, while traditionally a stronghold for opposition support, has shown a noteworthy shift, with recent polls indicating an increase in support for Mahama. This trend suggests that his promises of balanced regional development and expanded employment opportunities are resonating with voters, even in areas that have historically leaned toward the opposition. Meanwhile, in the Bono and Bono East regions, Mahama's popularity remains steady. His campaign's focus on agricultural reform and rural economic support has appealed strongly to these communities, which rely heavily on agriculture as a primary source of livelihood. With Mahama leading in 12 regions, the political landscape is shaping up to be highly competitive as election day approaches. His campaign team has expressed optimism, stating that they are confident about these results and will continue working hard to earn voters' trust in the remaining regions. They believe that Mahama's message of a prosperous and inclusive nation is gaining traction, especially as more voters pay attention to his proposed policies for economic reform and national unity. However, the election is still open, and the competition remains fierce. Analysts caution that polling numbers, while indicative of current trends, may still shift as campaigns intensify and both candidates make their final cases to the public. The incumbent government, led by President Nana Akufo-Addo, has also ramped up its efforts in recent weeks. His team emphasizes the importance of continuing current projects and highlights accomplishments achieved over the past years. They aim to remind voters of the strides made in key sectors like digital transformation, infrastructure, and energy, urging citizens to stay the course and vote for sustained progress. Benjamin Adams, with each campaign actively working to engage the public, the next few weeks will be critical for both sides. Experts believe that the election could come down to a few swing regions, making every vote count. As a reminder, the final election results will be certified and released by the national electoral body, with stringent measures in place to ensure transparency and accuracy in counting. Citizens are encouraged to exercise their right to vote and make their voices heard in this pivotal election. Benjamin Adams, thank you for staying with Channel V News. For those just joining us, we've been discussing the current polling results, which indicate a strong lead for John Dramani Mahama in 12 out of the 16 regions. As election day approaches, we expect to see intensified campaigns, rallies, and a heightened focus on pressing national issues from all parties involved. Now, let's examine some of the critical themes and promises dominating this campaign. Each candidate's platform focuses on addressing specific concerns voiced by the electorate, and tonight, we'll provide a deeper look into these proposals and their potential impact on the nation's future. The economy remains a top priority for voters across the board, especially in light of recent economic challenges. Mahama's platform promises a revitalized economy with a particular focus on job creation and supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. His campaign outlines an ambitious plan to boost local industries, particularly in manufacturing and agriculture, which are seen as critical to reducing unemployment rates and fostering sustainable growth. Mahama's proposal includes incentives for young entrepreneurs and skilled workers, aiming to empower local talents and encourage self-sufficiency. Supporters argue that this strategy could help create a more balanced economy by reducing dependency on imports and enhancing domestic production. Meanwhile, the incumbent administration, led by President Akufo-Addo, continues to defend its economic policies, citing recent infrastructure projects and digital transformations aimed at modernizing the economy. The administration claims these projects will bring long-term benefits, including job opportunities and increased efficiency across various sectors. Healthcare and social services. Mahama's campaign also emphasizes the need for expanded healthcare services, particularly in rural areas where access remains limited. His team has highlighted the importance of modernized hospitals, better medical supplies, and affordable care for low-income citizens. Voters in several regions, especially rural communities, have expressed enthusiasm for this approach, hoping for reforms that will reduce the burden on families needing quality healthcare services. On the other side, the current government stresses that healthcare has already improved under its leadership, with various new facilities and expanded healthcare programs initiated over the last few years. Supporters argue that continuity in leadership is essential to complete these projects and ensure that citizens benefit from an uninterrupted healthcare system. Education and youth empowerment. For many young voters, education is a priority issue, and both candidates have pledged to focus on expanding opportunities for youth. Mahama proposes an increase in educational funding, particularly for schools in less developed areas. He has also vowed to improve vocational and technical training, enabling young people to acquire skills that match the demands of the job market. This strategy has resonated strongly with younger voters who seek better education and pathways to well-paying jobs. Mahama's camp believes that by prioritizing education, the country can build a skilled workforce ready to take on future challenges and fuel economic growth. The incumbent government points to its own achievements in the education sector, including the introduction of free high school education and investments in teacher training. They argue that these programs have already created a strong foundation and believe that continued support will further enhance education standards. Infrastructure and urban development. Mahama has also placed significant emphasis on urban development. As urbanization accelerates, especially in regions like Greater Accra, pressure on housing, transportation, and basic amenities has increased. Mahama has outlined plans to invest in urban infrastructure, with a focus on affordable housing, efficient public transportation, and waste management solutions. Supporters of these initiatives argue that they would greatly improve the quality of life in urban centers, making them more livable and accessible. This plan has particularly appealed to voters in highly populated areas, where overcrowding and poor housing conditions remain major concerns. The government, on the other hand, highlights its ongoing projects, including road constructions, rail developments, and housing projects intended to address similar issues. Their stance is that by re-electing the current leadership, these projects will continue seamlessly, creating better living conditions and promoting regional connectivity, climate action and environmental protection. As global awareness of climate issues rises, many citizens are looking at how their leaders plan to address environmental concerns. Mahama's campaign has outlined strategies for preserving natural resources, reducing deforestation, and promoting clean energy solutions. He aims to implement policies that encourage environmental responsibility, balancing development with sustainable practices. This focus has drawn interest from environmentally conscious voters who are concerned about climate change, pollution, and the preservation of ecosystems. Mahama's team believes that by focusing on sustainable development, the country can safeguard its resources for future generations. The current government has also made environmental strides, focusing on renewable energy projects and conservation efforts. They emphasize their efforts to reduce pollution and promote recycling programs, suggesting that these initiatives will help create a healthier environment for all citizens. National unity and security. As election day draws near, both candidates have made appeals for peace, unity, and respect throughout the electoral process. Mahama's team has made national unity a focal point of his campaign, urging citizens to work together for a common vision, regardless of regional or political differences. Security remains a priority, and Mahama's camp has proposed measures to ensure a safe electoral process. His team has emphasized that peaceful elections are essential for the nation's stability and future prosperity. In response, the government has reassured the public of its commitment to a transparent and secure election. Security agencies have been put on alert, with measures in place to maintain order, prevent violence, and protect the integrity of the voting process. Benjamin Adams, the election is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched in recent years, with each candidate presenting compelling reasons for their leadership. Citizens across the nation are urged to stay informed, participate in discussions, and most importantly, exercise their right to vote. Channel V News will continue to bring you timely updates, expert analyses, and on-the-ground reports as this historic election approaches. Be sure to stay with us for reliable information and balanced coverage of